Mom, what did you do to my daughter?
Huh, David? What's going on?
I'm shocked. I believed you were treating Ileana well, but deep down you think she's a nuisance, don't you?
Don't be ridiculous. Ileana is my precious granddaughter.
Liar. Then why did you make her cry?
Ileana was crying?
Ileana hardly ever cries. She came home with her eyes all red and shut herself in her room right away. What happened? Ever since she got back from your place, something's been off.
I see.
So, you do know something, don't you?
Has Ileana said anything yet?
She seems like she's trying to say something, but she's just sobbing and can't get the words out.
I see. Well, I suppose that's understandable.
Did you say something horrible to Ileana? Ileana couldn't wait to bake a birthday cake last night, and she brought it over to celebrate your big day today. What on earth happened?
Listen, David, I threw that homemade cake in the trash.
What? You threw it away?
I felt it was a waste, but I had no choice.
Throwing away my daughter's homemade cake? How dare you, Mom? And for you, of all people, to waste food? You've always been the one to tell me ever since I was a kid to be grateful for food and for the people who make it. So how could you just throw the cake away like it was nothing?
Calm down. It's definitely not why Ileana is crying.
What?
She was sad, sure, but she understood why it had to be thrown away. I know it's harsh for a 5th grader, but this was unavoidable.
What are you talking about?
Can you come over to my place right now?
Why?
Check the cake.
Huh? The cake?
Once you see it for yourself, you'll understand why I had to throw it away.
Don't tell me. There was something weird inside the cake.
See for yourself. I'd like you to imagine being in my shoes, having to eat something like that.
Got it. I'm coming over now. Mom, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have doubted you. I was convinced you said something mean to Ileana and hurt her feelings. It was all just a misunderstanding.
It's okay. The misunderstanding has been cleared up. If your precious daughter comes home crying, of course, you'd be worried.
I spoke to Ileana again and she calmed down. She told me that as soon as you both took a bite of the cake, you noticed something strange with the texture, right?
Yes, that's correct. The cake felt harder than usual. At first, I thought maybe it was just overbaked. But as I kept chewing, it wasn't just hard. It had a gritty texture. I knew something was wrong.
Gritty. Did you think there was something mixed in at that point?
No, at first I didn't think anything was in it. But it had a texture that's not normal for cake. And I just had a gut feeling that we shouldn't swallow it. It seems that Ileana felt the same way because she looked at me with wide eyes.
I see.
I'm really glad I didn't swallow it. Who knows what could have happened if I had? Ileana also spat it out immediately and she exclaimed, "Grandma, there's something wrong with this," in a startled voice.
Ileana was really shocked too.
Yes, I spat it out too and immediately checked the cake. But there was nothing visible on the surface, so I carefully cut into the cake again. That's when I noticed the center of the cake was unnaturally dark. It was then that I finally realized something had been mixed into the cake.
Dark. So that was mud, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. I couldn't believe it either, so I checked several times. You'd never expect something like mud to be mixed into a cake.
Yeah, so you had no choice but to throw it away.
It was heartbreaking because Ileana worked so hard to make it, but in that condition, I had no option but to throw it away.
But the fact that she cried so much suggests that someone else might have been responsible for mixing it in.
That's probably the case. Given the situation, there's really only one person who comes to mind.
Yeah, it's gotta be Ivy. I still haven't gotten the spare key back from her. It's tough that all we have right now is circumstantial evidence.
Oh, by the way, if Ivy asks about me, just vaguely say something like, she's been feeling a bit under the weather.
What? Why?
I think she might slip up and reveal something if she thinks I fell into a trap. Besides, I got a vaccination yesterday and had some side effects, so my stomach's been a bit off. I'm not lying.
I see. Got it.
David, do you have a minute?
What is it?
Ileana is living with you now, but I think a child should be with her mother.
What are you talking about? You cheated and walked out on your child.
I know, but now I regret not taking Ileana with me.
It's too late for that. I'm raising Ileana.
It must be tough taking care of a child while working, right? You should really give me custody.
I refuse.
You're so stubborn.
I've told you many times, but there's no way I'm entrusting Ileana to someone with a history of cheating. And you don't need to worry about Ileana's care. Mom lives nearby and she's always looking out for Ileana.
Well, so you're still not budging?
Of course not.
Or maybe you haven't noticed that thing yet.
What thing?
Let me ask you first. Did anything happen to your mom on her birthday?
Huh? No. Besides Ileana bringing over her usual homemade cake, nothing special. The birthday gift from me is scheduled to arrive later due to the release date.
Like, did she feel a bit nauseous or have an upset stomach or something?
What? Oh, well, she did mention not feeling well, but I didn't get the details.
I knew it.
What are you talking about?
Well, the thing is, the day before your mom's birthday, I remembered something I forgot. So I let myself into your house while you and Ileana were out.
You let yourself in without permission?
Without permission? Come on, it's my house too. I have a spare key after all.
You should have contacted me beforehand. I haven't changed the locks or collected the spare keys yet, because the divorce isn't finalized. But you're the one who walked out on the family.
I know, just this once. But let's get to the point. When I let myself in, I stopped by the kitchen. I saw that Ileana had some leftover store-bought sponge cake mix in the fridge, the kind she uses every year. And for some reason, there was a bottle with a bit of muddy water in it. I thought maybe it was for some science experiment at school or something. So I just left it as it was and went home, but...
What's your point?
I realized something. What if Ileana mixed mud into the chocolate cake and gave it to your mom to eat?
What?
I was trembling with fear. It's unimaginable that a fifth grader could come up with something like that. But it seems my suspicion was correct. You mentioned earlier that your mom wasn't feeling well. It's obvious that the cake Ileana made was the cause, right? I think this just shows that Ileana wants to be with me so badly that she'd go to such lengths, even doing something like mixing muddy water into a chocolate cake. If you had just handed over custody to me sooner, none of this would have happened, right? If I don't take Ileana away from you and your mom immediately, who knows what she might do next?
I can't believe you'd speak so badly of your own daughter.
I have no choice. The fact is, Ileana tried to feed your mom a cake with mud in it.
You're the real culprit, aren't you?
What? What are you talking about? Ileana was the one who brought the cake to your mom. I haven't seen your mom lately.
You're trying to cover it up. But the truth is, you sneaked into the house. And while you were there, you swapped the sponge cake Ileana made with another one you made on the spot, filled with mud, didn't you?
What? What are you talking about? Do you have any proof that I swapped the cakes?
I remembered something while I was frantically searching for evidence. The usual sponge cake mix we use every year was sold out this time, so we had to use a different brand.
What?
So just in case, I dug through the trash that hadn't been collected yet, and I found it. A package of sponge cake mix that shouldn't have been there this year.
What? What do you mean it was different this year?
Well, since this happened after you left, there's no way you'd know that the sponge cake mix was different. And another thing, you keep saying chocolate cake, but the cake Eliana ended up making was a strawberry shortcake.
What? Strawberry shortcake? No way! When I was in the kitchen, all the ingredients for a chocolate cake were there.
That might have been the case when you swapped the sponge cake, but what Eliana made was a fresh cream cake topped with strawberries.
Wait a minute. What? What's going on?
Eliana realized she was missing some ingredients while making the cake, so she went to the local grocery store. There, she found a brand of strawberries that my mom loves, so she decided to switch to a strawberry shortcake at the last minute.
What? That's not fair.
There's nothing unfair about it. It's better than trying to pull shady tricks to get custody, like you.
What?
And what's this nonsense about a bottle of muddy water? Even as a made-up story, it's so ridiculous it's laughable. There's no way Eliana would put something like that in the fridge.
I'm telling the truth. Maybe Eliana already got rid of it, but...
Enough. What you're doing is really the lowest of the low. You're hurting our daughter's feelings, trying to harm my mother, and doing it by disrespecting food.
But...
Just hand over custody to me and let's finalize this divorce. I'm scared of the impact you'll have on Eliana, and I'm exhausted.
David, I've made up my mind. I'll divorce you.
I see. Then let's start the paperwork right away.
But there's a condition.
What is it?
Give me custody of Eliana. That's the condition if you want me to divorce you now.
You still don't get it, do you?
Huh?
The whole mud in the cake thing. You tried to use our daughter to harm my mother. This has only made it harder for you to get custody, hasn't it?
What?
Maybe you thought you could get away with it, but you didn't. And now it's all out in the open. I've already told everything to my lawyer.
Damn. Michelle, I have a favor to ask.
What is it?
Please convince David to give me custody of Eliana.
Excuse me? You're asking me, David's mother and Eliana's grandmother, to do that?
But isn't it unfair to Eliana? She's only in 5th grade and she's being separated from her mother.
Is that so? David is taking good care of Eliana, and I don't see any problem with that.
A father raising a daughter on his own is impossible. You know she's hitting that tricky age now. It's tough if she can't talk to her mother about her troubles.
It's fine. I'll be there for her.
A grandmother isn't enough. I'll let you see Eliana whenever you want. See? Then there's no problem for you, right? Or you don't actually like Eliana, do you?
Why would you think that? I love Eliana dearly. She's honest, kind, and cheerful. She's just like my son David.
What are you talking about? Eliana is an incredibly deceitful child.
How so?
She tried to feed you a cake with mud in it. I'm sure Eliana did it because she wants to live with me so badly, and she must have been trying to upset you, David's mother. But even as her mother, I was horrified by how twisted that idea was. But don't worry, I'll discipline her properly, so please give me custody.
You seem quite confused, don't you?
Huh? Do I?
First of all,
let me make it clear that we already know that you were the one who mixed the mud into the sponge cake. You already knew? Of course. And we avoided eating the mud cake at the last minute. What? But you said you weren't feeling well. I only had a mild reaction because I got a vaccination the day before my birthday. What? So that was the cause? Exactly. And by the way, Eliana seems to have developed a strong sense of disgust toward you after this incident. What? Of course she would. It's bad enough for a child to feel disgusted that her mother had an affair with a man other than her father. But now this? The cake she made with love for her grandmother's birthday was turned into a tool for attacking others by her own mother, and she was nearly made complicit in it. I didn't mean for it to be like that. Eliana's hobby of baking was something she'd picked up from you, her mother, wasn't it? David told me that she started baking cakes herself because she admired how you would always make homemade cakes for Christmas and family birthdays. No way. To Eliana, you were a mother she was proud of. She used to tell me how you were great at cooking and always made homemade treats. And yet, you tarnish those precious memories and the bond between mother and daughter, quite literally, with mud. What? Can you still claim that you're someone Eliana needs in her life? I'm sorry. Michelle, I'm so sorry. I really need the money. What? My current boyfriend doesn't have a stable job. And since I've been a stay-at-home mom with no income, I thought that if I got custody of Eliana, I'd have money for living expenses. So that's why you were so fixated on getting custody of Eliana? I thought she might be happier living with me too. Like I said earlier, Eliana no longer sees you as her mother. If you truly care about her happiness, then divorce David and make sure to pay child support and alimony properly. Mom, it was tough, but the divorce is finally finalized. I see. I also got custody of Eliana. I'm glad to hear that. As for the alimony and child support, Ivy's parents are treating it as her debt and will pay it all in a lump sum today. The alimony I demanded from the guy she cheated with has already been paid, so I guess that's the end of it, for now. You did well. I know I cost you a lot of trouble, Mom, but thank you. How's Eliana doing? She's doing okay. She seems to have relaxed a bit after learning that I got custody. I see. But remember, she's a teenage girl going through adolescence, so there will be things a father can't handle alone. For those times and for anything else, don't hesitate to rely on me. Got it. I'll let Eliana know, and we'll definitely rely on you when we need to. By the way, Eliana wants to have a rematch with a birthday cake. A rematch? I was thinking, since we're at it, how about we order some pizza and have a do-over birthday party? Eliana's really excited to make the cake again. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Let me know when you're free later. Will do. I'm really looking forward to it. Mom? Yes? Thanks for everything. Please continue to look after both Eliana and me. David, of course I'm always here for you both. I considered filing a report. However, Mom felt that since it was an attempt that didn't succeed, and for Eliana's sake, she didn't want to escalate things further by involving the police. In the end, Ivy's parents paid the compensation on her behalf, and Mom accepted the full amount, saying she would use it for Eliana's future. Since then, I haven't been in contact with Ivy at all, but according to her parents, she broke up with the guy she was cheating with shortly after. Apparently, the guy had been counting on getting child support from me, but when he realized he wouldn't get a dime and instead had to deal with alimony demands, he completely lost interest in Ivy.
Now that she's been dumped by her affair partner, Ivy's working part-time at a factory run by relatives to pay back the debt to her parents. The rumors about her affair and the mud-filled cake spread among relatives and neighbors, and she's reportedly struggling mentally from all the gossip. But considering all the harm she's caused others, it's only fitting that she faces the consequences.
Thank you for watching. Please rate the video and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.